Hey everybody, welcome to episode 21 of the Baali Chronicles. We're kicking things off right where we left with the last episode. We've got Preston and Sullivan downstairs. They just came face to face with Narissa Blackwater, and Lamont is continuing his talk with Edith. On top of this, in this episode, Preston starts to discover a connection that one of his old friends has with Narissa, and it doesn't quite feel good to him to hear about it. You can tell as you see it. In addition, they uncover a rather dangerous rite that's getting performed, and, well, whether or not they're the victim of it remains to be seen, so we'll see what happens. Flipping back to Lamont, you're waiting there for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and eventually you'll see the woman behind the desk stand up. She apparently takes a quick phone call. You hear the vibration of her phone more than you actually hear it ring, and she's like, "Yes, ma'am. I'll send him in right away." She'll move around the little counter area. Mr. Gale, she's ready to see you if you would come this way.
Okay. And I'll follow.
She'll lead you back past that little desk area, and right to the left, you guys basically enter a small hallway, and you enter into a room on your right-hand side that has this white solid door. Like, the walls are plain. Like, somebody did this up in like those really crappy beige colors. Mind you, there's some art hanging on the walls, like maybe some sample pieces here and there. But with Lamont's eye, it's not really good work. It's not, I mean, it's all right. Like, people would pay for this, but it's not the type of quality you'd be expecting to see on display
It's
here.
kind of like street tattoo shop artwork.
Yeah, it's just your casual shit. Nothing really extravagant, nothing really detailed. It's just like, hey, look at this thing that I can stencil onto your arm, you know? You get into the room as this door is opened by your guide, and you can see it's been painted this like dark gray, and there are framed pieces of work along the wall, but they're all like 1940s, 1950s pinup girls. Very nicely done. And sitting at this desk in a corner, you see there's a chair right next to her. It's actually laid out much like a masseuse's, table. The chair's there. She's sitting at the desk. This woman looks up to you matches the picture actually you guys have got originally of Edith. She looks full on Nosferatu. Like, she's got like a bat hooked nose, massive fucking ears, elongated head a little bit. Her limbs are a little spindlier than they should be on a normal person. And the woman with you, the receptionist, doesn't seem to bat an eye. She just kind of clears her throat and goes, "Ma'am, your appointment's here." And you see Edith look up.
Shop.
Yeah. Edith looks up and goes, "Oh, of course. You're excused." The woman goes, "Of course." Lets you in, closes the door behind you, leaving you and Edith here alone. Edith's like, "Would you have a seat, Mr. Gale?"
Sure, Lamont. I'll take my jacket off, and I'll actually extend a hand because I'm impressed with her. So I want to be as courteous. To me, this is like tattoo artists meet each other. There's usually probably some like casual, like, oh, we work in the same. To me, like, you're a vampire, you're a tattoo artist. Like, it's probably above that. So I will pay her like due respects. Like, she is a tattoo artist. She's like well known. I respect her work, so I will try to be like as cordial, as pleasant as possible.
She'll stand up and she'll shake her hand. She's got a firm grip. She gives you a smile, and you can see her two fangs are like unnaturally long, like over her bottom lip as she gives you that smile. Lamont, it's a pleasure to meet you. I've, read up on your work, heard you've word of mouth wise, you've been really busy and very good. So
it's a true pleasure to meet you too. I really appreciate you giving me this opportunity.
Well, normally, to be quite honest, I don't like practicing too much with many of our kind. I mean, tattoo artists, because you start talking more about the surface level. Like, as a kindred, as a fellow vampire, we have more meaning to this type of thing that can permanently scar our bodies. It's a little more intense for us, I think. And I do have ways to make these last. And I have actually tattooed a small handful of people across the city. It's a rare thing. I don't often put my mark on undead flesh.
And I'm kind of overwhelmed by the gravity of that, and I really truly appreciate it. And I've come to, not to powder your butt, but I've come to learn from the master.
If lessons are what you're looking at, we can definitely discuss. I would have to see you work though.
Yeah, of course.
And I see, and she actually gestures towards the gear you brought, that you are potentially prepared for that.
I mean, I don't go anywhere without my gear, so.
Well, how about this? What if we bring Jeanette in? have you do a piece, whatever you choose, wherever she has open, I should say, probably her back. We'll have you choose something and we'll see how your technique works.
Okay, sounds great. I would love that opportunity.
She'll go to her desk again and you'll see her hit a button. She's like, can you come in? We're going to actually get you a bit of art. And you hear the response, yes, of course, ma'am. And you'll hear footsteps after the phone hangs up. She starts walking back. She opens the door, walks in, looks at you and looks at Edith, and basically just is kind of like, well, so who is, ma'am? I don't mean to presume, but are you looking to get a bit of work out of the way? And Edith shakes her head, says, no, not me, dear. Mr. Gale will. So please have a seat, or lay down, if you will. Where do we have that hasn't been touched yet? She's like, oh, the middle of the back. He's like, okay, please get ready. And you'll see her prepare herself. She'll get a drink of water really quick and then basically take off the blouse she was wearing, but leave the bra on so that you can get to a good spot that's right between her shoulder blades. And she'll go and lay down. She doesn't even ask like what you're going to do. She just kind of goes with this completely.
Okay. Well, she is the canvas, so I will, of course, ask her aesthetically, did she have any ideas for this space?
You see her raise a brow, like as she's got her cheek on the table, the padded portion of it. Actually, no. A lot of what she has done, like as Lamont's looking over her sleeves and the rest of her tattoos, she's got a lot of varying styles. Like her left sleeve is primarily what you'd expect to see out of any street shop. So a lot of flames and like maybe like a portrait here and there. Very hard edges, very like thick, outlines. Her left arm is a huge floral print that goes from her shoulder blade all the way down to her elbow, and then turns to a bunch of vines with thorns on them.
Okay.
For Lamont, you know that those thorns, especially that type of like work with the vine work, that's one of Edith's signatures. And looking at the work on this, it's the colors are still very vibrant. One, she's probably taking very good care of it, not exposing it to a lot of sunlight. But two, there seems to be almost a sort of real quality to the work. Like as you're looking at it, you keep on picking up more and more detail that you're like, how the fuck did she get that there? But that is a very nice like floral print all over her arm. The entire sleeve, all the way down to her wrist, is where it goes. On her lower back, like to her sides, they kind of wrap around from the front. You see another large series of vines that kind of wrap around one another and have occasional like blossoms of flowers all over them. Again, it's clear that that's some of Edith's work as well. And the more you see some of her other tattoos, really looks like the only work that she didn't get done by Edith is that left sleeve. That street work. That's the only thing that's not done by Edith. Everything else is just this amazing. It's a 5 level of crafts.
What does she have on her back?
The back itself, where you can see her spine is, it looks like Edith had actually put in like the details of her vertebrae down the back, and those vines are wrapped through it and around it. They kind of go up to just the middle of her back, and along those vines there are thorns. They're just branching out every direction, and there are little trails of blood dripping off of them.
Okay. So my idea, and of course it's probably going to come down more to dice than anything else, but my idea is, since I'm going to be doing art in a space on her back that is primarily another artist's space. What I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize that space to make it clear that there's something else, someone else utilizing that space to make the art. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give her a little bit of a taste of like my style, which is much more like a brutal style. So like, I'm going to give it like a base of like very like sketchy, thick black lines sort of like coming out from the center. And in the middle, I'll just I'll do like something very intricate, like a mandala, like something like almost occult in nature, but not something like so specific you could put your finger on it. Like I'm not giving too much away in that regard, but I am definitely trying to be like, this is something that's planted itself in the middle of your back, and it's like an invasive style in this garden of thorns.
Cool. Let's get your crafts roll. Do you want to spend any dice for this? You guys have 9.
What do you guys think?
Yes.
Do it.
it.
Okay. So human canvas, I assume, counts here.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. And then how many dice do you think I should use, guys?
4. Let's drop to a solid 5.
4.
I want you to do awesome.
Okay.
All right.
Especially because me and Sean are going to die. So
All
The,
right.
the more successes, the better work you do.
Okay. Let's see what happens.
Do you want to re-roll 3 of those dice? You can spend
Sure.
power.
spend a willpower, re-roll 3 of them.
I could just hit the willpower reroll thing, right?
I believe so, yes. Hopefully it works.
One more.
So a
Nice.
total of 6. So you get the extra nudge. First off, put your willpower back. As you mark
Okay.
it off, as you focus yourself, doubling down your efforts to do this again, you feel a weird resurgence, like a strength comes to you from outside of your being and just completely replenishes your confidence in yourself. When you start working on this, you get lost in the moment. And it's just you, the canvas beneath you, who does, by the way, occasionally twinge, even though she's dealt with a rather brutal style of tattooing before, but this is a little more intense. The blacks that you're using and think of the outlines you're making that hurts. The blacks are the parts that fucking suck. So
if you want to see an example of
Especially when
this,
they're all black.
just look up what's called brutal black. So the style of tattooing that is called brutal black, it is done in such a way that most tattoos and tattoo artists, their process is to care for their canvas. Brutal black is like the purity of the pain of getting a tattoo. So those lines are done with like very thick clusters of needles, and they're done in such a way that like they stay black forever.
well, as you mark her up, you will definitely get some twinges from the girl beneath you. She, for a mortal specifically, is holding herself together very well. However, you can definitely smell in the air the pain that she's going through with your bloodhound as her resonance in her blood changes after this event is occurring. And you hear the occasional from Edith in a quite an approving manner. Like when you get to a point where you stop and take a break for a second just to kind of re-examine the canvas, wipe off some of the blood, things like that, or maybe like, to re-wet the needles, she's kind of like over your shoulder and you feel this spindly hand just kind of give you a pat on the back. I like your style. There's a lot that she could learn through the pain that you're giving her.
I'll nod and I'll look up. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And then she'll just go silent, let you work. But you will occasionally catch her in your peripheral as you're finishing this tattoo, kind of watching you hovering over, watching like when you're dealing with the more intricate levels of the design, the mandala type design you're doing in her back.
So the way the mandala will turn out is it is in the negative space of the black. So it's not like the traditional outline where like
right.
So basically I'm using that precision in these thick black lines to always hit like the same mark so that it makes this perfect negative design, this intricate geometric design.
You do thoroughly impress Edith. 1, your dice roll is good, and 2, you got that additional oomph. So things are going off flawlessly for you up here. Back downstairs, Sullivan and Preston, you see Narissa look up and see you guys. What do you do?
So I am going to utilize my expertise in manipulation and subterfuge, and I'm going to just wander down as if I'm brand new to this. I don't know who she is or anybody else is here, but we were sent down here to check out the landscape, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
You see her, and as you start walking around and checking out some of the playrooms and the areas they got set up down here, Preston sees Narissa nudge somebody whose back has been to you, and when that person looks and turns to see you, you see Trina. She's like, "Oh, hey, Preston.
Fancy seeing you here."
Yeah, no shit. What are you guys out and about doing?
Yeah, checking the place out.
Why don't you come over and have a seat with us?"
Yeah, sure. Walk over.
Sullivan walking with him.
I mean, if the invitation was for the both of us, yes.
Okay.
I still have to keep up the facade that I'm a fucking caitiff here, so
You guys will come
timid.
over this direction, and you'll see that they were sitting in this couch, this black leather couch, with their backs to you. So the back of the couch is facing you as well. When you kind of walk through this dark area, the smell of blood as you approach gets more and more potent. And as you kind of wrap around the side of the couch that they're sitting on, the two women, you see in the couch across from them, there's a small coffee table between them. And across from them, there are two men. They're kind of they're wearing button-up shirts. Their collars have been pulled off to the side. You can see the telltale marks of blood down the front of their shirts, like they've been recently fed on. They're dazed, but they're still like aware. They're just casually like very tired looking, drinking from these cups that are in their hands, these plastic like Dixie cups.
So, are we just having a bite here, or are we playing games?
Narissa chuckles. She goes, well, this was just a bite, but there's some other things that we had going on in one of the other rooms. Usually we have them locked up. We didn't think anyone was going to be here on a Tuesday night. What brings you to this place?
Well, we also didn't think very many people were going to be here on a Tuesday night. Our third is somewhat of a artiste. He's actually a very talented tattoo artist. So they're doing the tattoo thing upstairs.
Narissa looks over at Trina, and Trina's like, oh, yeah, it's Lamont. Yeah, he's a nice guy. And Narissa just kind of just gives her a nod. Now, in this light, what there is of it down here, you see Narissa's features are very strongly cut in the shadows. But what's really making that more effective is that the shadows around her, like underneath her jaw and in her hair, are moving to basically leave her face the most, I guess, flattering, lighting possible. Like the shadows are actually moving around her body as she moves. Trina just kind of gestures to the couch across from you. Like, why don't you guys have a seat over there, and you can push those guys out if you want. I mean, actually, Narissa just kind of clears her throat. The two guys look up at her like, what? Huh? And she just kind of jerks her thumb over her shoulder to one of the rooms. They're like, oh, okay. They get up and kind of saunter past you guys, give you a smile each, and drunkenly kind of stumble towards this other room, leaving the four of you guys alone. These two leather couches across from one another.
Yeah, I'll go over and
I'll
sit down.
definitely go sit down.
Trina is sitting relatively close to Narissa, so close actually that Narissa actually, when she leans back into her seat as you guys sit down, she manages to put her arm around the Gangrel's shoulders. And Trina just kind of smiles at Preston. She's like, we got him.
It went well then.
Yeah, they're done. They are they're bird feed, man. Like if they could be. They're fertilizer for the garden. Let's put it that way.
So is it just the two of them, or did they have more with them?
Just the two of them. Fucking idiots. Why would you think you'd come barreling for us and we weren't going to reprise? We weren't going to have some sort of response to you. That just doesn't seem to make any fucking sense. But they're Church of Cain. Doesn't make any sense. They're full of shit.
Well, it seems weird that it would just be the two of them, right? I mean, if they were going to pull off something massive like that, you'd think there'd be a bigger movement at play.
They probably just thought it was a little ballsy of a move. They probably blame it on the Lasombra and just move it from there. Like, I thought it was Lasombra at first, too.
That's true. So what's the, out of curiosity, not that it's any of my business, but since it's just us girls talking here, what's the debt that has to get repaid for the assistance?
Well, and she kind of looks over at Narissa. Narissa just smiles at her, and Trina looks back at you. There really isn't one, so to speak. We've come to a common ground.
Oh.
We have, well, before we went on the hunt, so to speak, we all did a rite to the Dark Mother, and it was powerful. Preston, I wish you were there. Like, it was one of the most powerful rites I've ever felt in my existence. Even I can't tell you what it felt like to actually feel something when you call out. Really, really be there. And when Narissa spoke, everybody listened. Everybody listened. And it was eye-opening. She has experiences, and I don't mean to, and she looks at Narissa, I don't mean to sound offensive when I say this, but I think that they originated as some of us and just kind of went their own way. Like, there's some differences, but we both believe in this idea of pushing through pain, learning from the deliverance of pain and suffering. they have a little bit different take on some things, but I think we've come to an agreement that we're on the same page. We all want the same thing. We're going about it in the same way. It's just the details are a little different. That's all.
Hmm.
And Narissa just smiles.
Well, so what's next?
Well, tonight we're going to be doing a private rite out on the lake.
Ah, lake.
Mhm.
Like by the yacht club?
Narissa just kind of tilts ahead as you say that. She's like, no, actually, out in the water.
Oh,
It gets you away from the city, the noise. It gets you out in nature still, but where prying eyes can't really see you.
good call. And this is tonight?
Of course. And she's like, yeah. Close to midnight. We're gonna head out. We just came here for a quick bite, relax a little bit before we headed out.
Interested in hearing more about the rite. I mean, you've piqued my interest when you say feeling the presence of something. Do you feel like you felt the presence of the Dark Mother, or are you talking about something else?
Definitely.
Are you sure it was her, huh?
I think it's unmistakable. Yes.
So why? What's special about the lake? I mean, there's plenty of places that you can go that don't involve boats to go and be, away from prying eyes.
Well, right. And she'll look over at Narissa. And, do you want to feel that? And Narissa's like, of course. It's a primal relationship with water that we all have from birth on through all our lives. It's like blood. We can use it as a connection to the otherworldly, and it just makes the ritual resonate better.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Who's all going to be there?
Just us.
Just you two?
Yes.
2-person ritual, huh?
It's a very personal one, yes.
Sounds kind of like a baptism. Like,
Not quite. She's not getting dunked in the tank, so to speak. And Trina laughs at that.
yeah. Sounds like fun.
I'm going to try and sense Narissa's sin.
That's what I was waiting. I'm gonna sense Trina's sin.
So let's do Narissa first. So it's your charisma plus blood sorcery, and it's her resolve plus composure. Do you want to spend any dice? I guess not.
Oh, I rolled roused.
Oh, you roused, yeah.
I clicked on the thing.
It's free. So yeah, we can ignore that. It's the one rouse you won for the night, but it doesn't count because you don't have to rouse for this.
Oh, I think I clicked on the wrong thing. I don't know. How many dice do we have?
We have 5.
You have
now.
5.
Does Nate use 4? Use them all. Fuck it.
I will use 2.
Okay. Oh,
Nice.
5.
That's a good
It's
roll.
pretty healthy. Pretty healthy.
Except she's going to roll 38 dice now.
Fucking 7.
You bitch.
You could re-roll the 3 that were in successes.
Yeah. Just
Willpower,
hit.
buddy.
I mean, I've already blown 1 willpower tonight.
Hey, they're like water. They'll be back.
That's what it's for. It's for blowing.
I will do the
Hey.
willpower reroll.
You got this. I have faith in you.
Tied.
Okay, it's a 10 and a 9. I was like, if it's 2 9s, it's more
Oh,
than
yeah.
tied, but it's not. She will re-roll 2 of hers with a willpower. Well, she
Fucking
can
roll one
only
to
roll
take
2.
one away.
Yeah, and she hits them both. God damn.
So you connect with her. You basically summon the lessons that your line has learned throughout the ages and that are burning your blood, and you reach out to sense her soul. And when you hit it, it's like she's looking back at you. Like you activate this ability, usually it's not very, there's no like outward sign. You just focus for a second. You find her staring directly at you when you do this, and you get a void of darkness. Sullivan.
Miss Trina. I am not using any dice.
Okay.
I got.
You got 4.
I
What are
got
those?
4 and only 1 10.
Okay, so you got 4 successes. She only rolled 3. So when you hit Trina, again, everything starts to fade away a little bit from your vision, and you find yourself enmeshed into that last moment when she gained a stain. And it's literally awash in blood. The smell of blood is hitting your nose, but it's actually canite blood this time around. And you find yourself wielding like this machete in one hand, and your other hand your fingertips have burst into talons. And she's literally beating the shit out of one of these Lasombra. It's literally machete hit, and then the claws come raking out as this not Lasombra, Jesus Christ, why did I say Lasombra? She's beating the hell out of this member of the Church of Cain. Immediately I go Sabat, and I'm like, it's Lasombra, right? No, it's not, because Ray's an idiot. But she's beating the hell out of this member of the Church of Cain, and you can see him, he's moving quick. It's clearly got to be the Bruja or somebody else who's got a bit of speed to them. But he's trying to duck out of the way, but she's catching him like across the chest, and you see her claws just kind of rip through his suit jacket and tear into the undead flesh beneath. And you hear her laughing, like this mirth is just bursting out your throat as you're cackling because you're delivering this vengeance, and it's just this thrill. The adrenaline's just pumping through your system as she's ripping this person apart as you're her. And then you get snapped back to reality in the bottom basement of the dungeon. And you guys are sitting there. Narissa is just smiling at Preston a little uncomfortably at this point.
I have a morbid fascination with pain, so the discomfort is just fine with me.
You now have this uncomfortable silence between the four of you. Trina's just like, hey, is everything okay here?
So I wanted to ask, and I'll just kind of reference over their shoulder, be like, so what actually goes on in the rooms?
Narissa just kind of gives you the stare.
I've never
like,
been into BDSM. I don't know anything about it.
Trina just kind of looks at Narissa and then looks back at you. She's like, well, people come here, mortals primarily, to play, with various types of bondage. They can do, rope play or spanking or other types of restraints or wax play, whatever they want to do. The place has to get a license so that they can actually do this legally. But people come down here and they enjoy themselves. They indulge in their kinks and just have a good time.
Sounds like a prime feeding ground for sure.
Sure, but you got to be really careful around that because it's usually a pretty tight-knit group of people. Most everybody in the circuit knows one another, so if one person starts acting weird or seems to be off after an encounter, bad idea.
Fair.
So you either want to...
Their kink is known blood play, right?
Sure, but there's different...
I don't know much about BDSM, but I definitely know blood play.
Sure, and she'll kind of chuckle. There's a difference in blood play and somebody getting woozy after having it done. Usually it's not that serious. Like, that's a bit... Fair. That's two different things entirely. So, you either got to bring people that and she just kind of gestures towards Narissa and then kind of like motions towards the room those other two went for your own thing and gives you a great cover to do that, or
work your way in like any other way.
Over a very long time, yeah.
Yeah. Could be something fun to fuck with down the road.
Sure. I know that Edith in the tattoo parlor owns this place. It's actually her little get together, but since she's with, and she kind of gestures towards Narissa, we get kind of a free run down here at this point.
Right on. Sounds like a good deal.
And we'll swing back to Lamont. Upstairs, you have finished. About 45 minutes have passed. You got a good spot on this. It's been just intense focus this entire time. With the bonus that you got from our lovely chat, it goes a lot quicker than it normally would. However, the quality has not diminished as a result. It's still top notch of your work. When you're done and you finish basically making sure that Jeanette's all right and fine and she gives a moment to rest before she moves, you start doing some of the aftercare for the ink. Edith sitting down at her desk. She's watched you finish off. She hasn't seemed bored at all this entire time. From what you do see of her, like as you kind of come out occasionally of your focus, she seems enthralled by what you're doing. Once everything's done and Jeanette's kind of packed out of the office, Jeanette's sitting at her desk. She's got her arms crossed and she's leaning back in her chair. You can hear that creak a little bit as she kind of swivels it back and forth. And she finally talks. She's like, so you've got your own thing. Why do you want to learn from me? Like, you're good at what you do. Definitely.
Well, I've always felt that someone truly dedicated to their art is just a collection of experiences. And I may be good at one or two styles, but everything that I experience or everything that I see or everyone that I interact with that has wisdom to pass on, and that art can help me grow as an artist. And quite honestly, if this was 20 years ago before my embrace, maybe I wouldn't have cared. But there seems to be something since that change in me that has this unassailable urge to learn more and to perfect and do better. And Just the craft is something that since my embrace, I've clung on to, and I don't know. It's just it's hard to explain.
And to be honest, Lamont, I'd be very willing to teach you. I think that you have a good way with the needle. I think that you are pushing the canvas to its limit, what it can bear, and making it stay and move beyond that, which I really appreciate. Come back in 2 nights, and you and I are going to have a session. I'm going to ink you.
Okay.
I don't know what it's going to be yet. I'm going to leave my mark on you, but you won't pay it for it at all. And we'll start your lessons that night.
Fantastic. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'll get up and clean my hands and clean up my space.
Right.
Just because we're vampires doesn't mean we're fucking slobs.
Right.
And yeah, that's all a part of the craft. So yeah, I'll clean up and I'll thank her and I'll shake her hand. If she some people
she'll
like to hug, some don't. I won't.
She'll just clasp you on the shoulder when she shakes your hand, like very firmly. And as she releases your hand, she keeps her hand on your shoulder, says, I only have one question. Do you have a preference in colors?
I'll just show her some of my tattoos, and I'll say most of this is just line work. So I prefer what works for you.
Okay. I'll start making the pigments. And she'll release your shoulder. Please, I'll see you Thursday night.
Okay. Yeah, I'll pack up and I'll go find these two guys.
So you head outside. Jeanette is no longer at the desk. She's actually very carefully just checking everything in a mirror. Mm-hmm. And then, basically seeing how far she can move so she knows her limits and what she can turn before it starts to hurt. And she'll give you a nod and a smile as you walk out. She's like, thanks. I really appreciate the work.
Very typically of the style, of the artwork, I would take like pictures of it with the camera phone and make sure that they're like super properly lit and and then I would just like ask her for her number and then just like send her the pictures so she can look at her own tattoo.
Yeah, she'll definitely leave you. Actually, she'll give you an email address that's attached to thepaintedlady.com, and she'll give you a phone number both to her, and you already have the shop, so she just writes on the back of the business card.
Okay. Yeah, and then I'll text her and I'll ask her, do you mind if I tag you on Instagram?
She's like, sure, go ahead. I don't mind at all.
Okay. Yeah, so it's ridiculous, but hey, that's how we make money. So that's what I'll do.
You walk out of the back after you got the exchange information with Jeanette, and as you're walking to the front, it's a little cold outside. Like I said, it's still February. It's still probably single digits outside. So you kind of bundle up against things, up against the cold, kind of intruding upon you. You put your gear in the SUV before you head into the club portion. Mm-hmm. When you walk into the club, you see the same guy that they did when they ran in. Guy in a leather jacket, PVC shirt and pants. He's like, hi, we're getting new people in today a lot. What... You here to see the sights, I suppose?
No, I'm just here to grab my friends.
The pair that went downstairs. Oh yeah, of course. Follow me. We'll go and get them. And he'll lead you down the stairs. You guys will you'll walk down the bottomless stairs. You'll go past the skulls. You guys downstairs will hear the door click as it opens, and the guy you guys saw upstairs, the attendant, will kind of shuffle in Lamont. And he'll stand by the door, leaving it open. Lamont will see them talking to two women with their backs turned to you. They're sitting in like a couch with the back of the couch towards the door.
I'll look up since he's...
Yeah, he's directly in your line of sight.
Be like, oh, I guess we're ready to go. Ladies, it was a pleasure. I'll stand up.
Trina's like, yeah, sure. Not a problem. We'll see you guys later then.
And Narissa... shake their hands.
You'll shake Trina's hand, and Narissa just kind of shakes her head, but she looks over the back of the couch. And Lamont will see this woman, dark-haired, beautiful complexion, beautiful facial features, kind of turn and look in his direction. And it's fucking Narissa Blackwater.
From the yacht club?
From the yacht club. The one that you tried to stake.
I'll walk up. I mean...
Yeah, you make your way over as Preston and Sullivan stand up. And Narissa just has this deadpan expression on her face. She's just completely stoic. It just kind of gives you a small nod.
I'll lean in on the couch, like between them to talk to those guys. Introduce me to your new friend.
Oh, well, Preston. I mean, this is your friend. She's cool. I like
This
her.
is
But
this is Narissa.
Narissa
Blackwater.
smiles.
Oh, nice to meet you. I'm
Nice.
Lamont.
You of course know Trina.
Trina just kind of smiles. Hey, Narissa moves to stand up, and she's a petite frame, like you remember her, but she still radiates a bit of strength as she stands up now, and she just lets that kind of flow out of her. Her eyes go a little darker for a moment. Like even in the light down here, you see like the sclera get a little tinted black as something swirls in her eyes and kind of pulls itself back to where you see it. They're back to normal after a moment. It's just like a small flash. Lamont, is it? She says.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's good to finally meet you. We've been just conferring with your friends. It's surprising we haven't ever met before, being in the city. And she looks at Trina, and she's like, well, not everybody goes to Elysium, right? I know you don't. And Narissa goes, that's true. Very true.
It's a big city. Lots of long roads.
Definitely. The Lakeshore just goes right across the whole north and south of it.
It's almost like it's an ocean.
Right. Yes, of course. But we have to get going. We're off to do a rite, so we'll see the three of you gentlemen later.
Maybe we could walk you out. We're leaving too.
Oh no, we've got people to collect. And she just
Oh.
kind of gestures to one of the side rooms.
Now, this is not something that I would normally do. I don't normally try to get too involved, but just my curiosity is just really getting the best of me. I don't suppose that you have room for one more.
Trina's like, what do you, for what?
Well, to come with you.
Preston, I don't think it's really appropriate. I mean, this is
I know.
this
It's
is
rude.
very...
It's absolutely rude, and it's not appropriate. But I would regret it for a long time if I didn't at least put out the ask.
She just kind of looks over at Narissa, and Narissa seems to kind of weigh Preston. Like her eyes, when they settle on you, you feel somebody who's just boring into your soul. And I need you to roll your resolve and composure.
we got some dice, buddy.
2 dice. I use 2
Yes,
dice.
you do.
Solid. 110 only, but
Okay.
4 is good.
Four is not bad at all. 4 is not bad at all.
Ooh.
Okay. So effective, unless that's too...
It's not.
It's only 1 anyways.
Yep.
Why did I look? It's number's 1, but I still look because it's green. All right, so she just stares at you and seems to be weighing you for a moment. And since, of course, you guys tied, you guys are the protagonists, so she's going to lose on the tie. Well, Mr. Caulfield,
That's right.
we can make arrangements for 1 more if you'd wish. And Trina's like, are you sure? I don't want to throw anything off. And Narissa's like, no, he's more than welcome.
I'll turn to Lamont and Sullivan. You guys will be all right, right?
Oh, we'll be perfectly fine.
Yep.
Perfect. I hate to ditch you guys. I mean, I know we had plans tonight.
No. I mean, we know. I mean, we've known each other for a while now. I mean, we know your affiliation and whatnot. You go have a good time, man.
Excellent.
Preston,
Appreciate
we
that.
all end up in the same place in the end. So
Yeah, that's
what
very
does it
true.
matter?
Yeah, I'll catch up with you guys later on. Well, Narissa, Trina, I'm ready to go right now.
Let's gather the 2 and top off and make our way then.
Perfect.
Though
Say,
too,
Lamont, let's head out.
I mean, we got no reason to stay here. We're not either of us S&M folks. So
and there's really nobody else down here. It's just literally well, there were the 6 of them. Now it's the 7 of you guys.
sounds good.
Trina and Narissa will lead Preston off to the side into that one side room, and you'll see the 2 males that were on the couch. They're just kind of passed out, like on a bed, just completely out. Narissa looks over at Trina and is like, can you do the honors? And she's like, sure. She'll just walk up and just backhand each of them, just boom, boom. And they're like, whoa, what the fuck? She's like, get the hell up. We're leaving. Narissa says, we're going. They're like, oh, yeah, of course, of course. And as they get up, you see them kind of like hold onto the bed for stability. And one of the guys like, all right, we got to get changed. And he'll pull off his shirt and you'll see all over his back, there's just crisscrosses of scars. Like he's been lashed repeatedly. There are some burn marks as well, but ritual scarification, not like, oh my God, I burned myself on the stove as a kid. No, this is scars with a purpose. And he'll walk over to this little dresser that's in this room and start just pulling out like a black turtleneck sweater. And then he'll get like a leather jacket off of a coat rack. And Narissa's just waiting while they're getting ready. For Lamont and Sullivan, you guys just head straight out and go back to the SUV?
Unless you had something else to do, yeah. I mean, we'll just go out and go, basically.
So it takes about 10 minutes downstairs for Narissa to wrap these two guys up and have them come out.
Just so Ray is aware, though, real quick,
Mhm.
when we do get in the car, we'll go to the Find My Phone app so we can keep an eye on Preston through where he's at least through his phone.
Okay. It takes about 15 minutes or so downstairs for Narissa and Trina to get these two guys wrapped up and ready to go. They start to kind of slowly come to their senses a little better, and the two of them lead these guys out, and Preston as well. You guys walk around. Now, for Lamont and Sullivan, you guys see basically the five of them walk out the front and go around the back to one of those sedans that were in the back of the alleyway. You'll hear the doors close. For Preston, you guys are getting into essentially like a Ford Taurus, and it's kept up, but it's still an older car. Nothing special, right? You'll hop in the back. So there'll be three of you guys in the back seat, you with the two mortals, and you'll take off. You'll start heading towards the expressway. Solomon and Lamont will see them head towards the expressway. They'll take that for a little bit.
Go where we're heading home.
All right. They'll go north and then hop off and get on the Lakeshore Drive. You guys will go north and hop off and go into Ravenswood. You guys are watching on the app. Preston's phone is going towards the yacht club. And for Preston, it's clearly going towards the yacht club.
Right.
You guys pull on in, and Narissa gets out and uses a card to open the gates. The Taurus pulls in. You guys get out of the car, and with the two gentlemen in tow, start walking across one of the docks to get towards this nice boat that's on the outsides. Normally, boats aren't allowed to leave in this weather. It's rare to ever see a boat on Lake Michigan in this fucking cold. For some reason, nobody bothers Narissa. You can see there's a security guard on duty at the club. He just kind of looks at her, nods, and walks back around a contiguous circuit. Doesn't even bother her. She gets onto the boat. One of the guys goes and starts it up. It kicks over just fine, and you slowly start going out into Lake Michigan. Now, the whole time, it's quiet. There's no chit-chat. There's no small talk, no shooting the shit, no nothing. But you do notice that Trina is preparing herself. Like, she's breathing calm. She's starting to meditate. She's starting to focus. And as she does that, you'll see she actually extends her feral talons, like her wolf claws, and starts very deliberately cutting across like the outside of her forearm to kind of prepare herself to work herself up for what she's assuming she's going to experience pain-wise once the ritual begins. She's just kind of getting in the zone, getting used to feeling the sensation as the boat goes further and further out the water. For Sullivan, looking at this app, you see the phone's going further and further in Lake Michigan. Like, it's going way offshore, like way away from the shoreline. They're part of the yacht club and travels for like a good straight hour. By the time you actually get to where you can barely see any light pollution, you can see the stars as a field above you. Chicago's in the distance. You see the silhouette of the city, and it's shimmering off of the water. Some of the water is frozen, but most of it out this far it can't solidify, so it's just broken chunks floating in the water. You hear occasionally one will bounce around against the side of the boat, but nobody seems to really give a shit about that. They get to the point where the boat starts to slow down and the engine cuts and you just start drifting. All the lights in the boat go out. So it's just you guys under starlight with your preternatural senses and the city in the background. At that point in time, Narissa emerges from the lower decks and onto the back where Trina's sitting. Narissa's wearing the ceremonial robe. It's black with red embroidered symbols of blood and vine. The vine work is a big motif that goes along like the seams of this robe. And she has a very different demeanor about her. In the club, and when you saw her before, she was very business oriented, very, like matter of fact. Here, she seems very much in a position of power and leadership. Like when she ascends from those stairs, it's almost like her presence is washing over everybody. One of the mortals that was with you just kind of looks up and goes, wow. And she looks at him, and as she looks at him, you see him start to seize up and kind of shake, like he's being scared in his deepest sense of his mind. Like it's something in his mind is snapping as she's looking at him, and he just kind of starts to gasp a little bit and mules as he kind of curls up into a fetal position and rests on one of the cushions. She looks over at you and just gestures for you to stand up.
I'll stand.
She points to one of the corners of the boat, like where you would see, like where people would probably stand either go fishing or just lean against the railing. I need you out of the way over there while this is done.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll get out of the way.
Good. Trina. And Trina looks up. She's like, yes. She says, I need you to disrobe entirely and lay on the flat of the boat. And she's like, what do you mean on the flat boat? She's like, right here. And you can see, like, you know, the middle ground, like you got the seats that go around the outside where you guys have been sitting, and she's kind of pushed you off to the side. There's a small area that's open, and Trina's like, all right, sure. She strips down, lays down on her back. She's still got her feral talons out, and she's just looking up at Nerissa. Nerissa pulls up the sleeves of one of the robes, cuts herself. You see one fingernail just erupt into a feral weapon, and she cuts down the length of her forearm and starts inscribing script along the outside of Trina. For Preston, it's the same Akkadian script. Well, not the same, but it's the Akkadian script like you saw around your well. And she's inscribing this in her blood in a circle around Trina as she's laying there. And she starts chanting as she's doing so in a language that you do not speak at all. It's very harsh. It's very strong. The ending of each vowel is very like a cutoff moment of just severe, like sudden just stop and silence before she starts the next vowel and the next set of consonants. It's a very, very severe sounding language. As she's doing this, you'll see the human that she brought with her, the one that's not, you know, up in a fetal position, he descends from where he was piloting the boat and comes down to stand beside her. And without skipping a beat, she just stands back up as you can see the entire inscription around Trina has been done. And she just lashes out a finger and slices right across this guy's throat, just almost casually, just like thunk, and it's like a knife through butter. He starts spraying blood all over Trina's body as she's laying prone on the ground. And Nerissa starts chanting more and more at fever pitch as this person falls on his knees and blood's just spraying over her. And that's when it hits you. Something is watching the ship. Some presence has been called and is now paying very close attention to this vessel as it floats in the water. The boat has been rocking a little bit on the waves like it naturally would do. At this point, the lake's completely calm, almost glass-like the surface. Nothing's moving. But then you get the sense as you look over, because it's unnatural, you just look over at it, and there's something moving in the water beneath you. You don't know what it is. You can't make out any forms, but something is moving in the darkness. That's for goddamn sure. And as the last gasps of this mortal kind of echo out over this quiet water, you hear him thump as he hits the ground next to Trina. And you see, at this point, Nerissa gets down and straddles Trina's waist and takes that massive slash across her wrist and puts it up to Trina's mouth and says, in English, drink from the well of life. You will be reborn in this moment. Trina seems a little like out of sorts. She's like, what the fuck? She's like, okay. And she goes and has a sip, and you see her fangs kind of distend and go into Nerissa's arm. And as she starts drinking, Trina starts shaking. Like somebody's grabbed her and just violently is shaking her against the bottom of the boat. Her eyes go completely black and just a rush of just shadow washes over her body. Her back arcs like she's in pain and like she's stiffening. Her mouth rips away from Nerissa's wrist, and this unearthly scream erupts out of her mouth. And it sounds like a multitude of voices just spilling out of her lips into the air. The boat itself suddenly rocks incredibly hard. And at that point, Nerissa looks up at you, and you see her eyes are solid black. In her, and through her, something reaches out and grabs a hold of you. I need you to roll your willpower.
Damn, dude. You done messed up, Ron.
4 successes is very nice. You feel as this presence latches on to your very psyche, it feels like something's worming through your brain, something's worming through your soul. Like it's just these presence that just starts to intrude upon your mind from all different angles. Like everything you've seen is now tainted in some way. You've watched the city itself just kind of rot away in your vision. It's like you're looking at the city from above and the lights are going out and the streets are starting to get more barren of traffic and the buildings starting to crumble and turn to dust. You feel yourself start to shrivel in, and inside you, you feel this well of strength. And all you have to do to get through this is reach out to it. But because you rolled the 4, you have the choice to do so or not to do so. But this present that reaches out to you it's not motherly, but it is parental. It does feel like somebody reaching out to you to wrap you up in their embrace, but in a loving manner, not a threatening one.
Well, that was, maybe I don't have a sense of this or not. Based on, like, I have just the knowledge I have of having been in the Bahari, and that I have rite of 2, so I'm familiar with these sort of things. I know I don't recognize exactly what is said because I don't read Akkadian at all.
Right.
But I'm trying to get a sense of if this ritual is really something that is in service of the Dark Mother. Like, is that what's actually being trying to reach here or not?
Not at all. No, this is something else. And Lilith would not be gentle in reaching out for you either. This would not be a comforting embrace. That would be through pain. Once you reach that pinnacle of understanding and enlightenment past the pain, that's when you might catch a glimpse of that divine being. This is not painful.
Well, if it's not painful, then I don't like it.
Okay.
Because that is my bane.
Okay. So you refuse this presence. You turn it away with your willpower. Your mind steels itself, and you feel your body shudder as you kind of come to your senses. You see that you're now on your hands and knees on the floor of the boat, and you can feel yourself start to dry heave as you kind of throw this presence out of yourself. And as you start vomiting this black ichor onto the floor of the boat, you feel things crawling their way out of your esophagus, out of your stomach, even out of your nose and out of your ears. Just these insects, just piles and piles of insects with every heave. You're expelling more of them onto the floor, and they're coated in this black shimmery ichor that's partially your blood and partially something else, as you're expelling essentially the contents of your system onto the floor. Narissa, you hear her turn towards you, and there's this low growl that erupts from her mouth. She's like, I knew you would be a waste, but he wouldn't listen. Now he's not going to have a chance. You hear Trina roll up onto her side and look at you. And as you get a glance of her, her eyes have gone completely red. Like she's activated basically Eyes of the Beast. And within the red circles of her irises, you see the rest of her eyes are still all black. And there's black ichor coming out of her nose and out of her mouth, almost like she's drooling this onto the floor of the boat itself. You hear the sound of her feral talons start to scratch across the floor of the boat as she moves into almost a pouncing position. What does Preston do?
Does Trina appear like she's lost herself to her beast, or is she?
She's not in the throes of her frenzy. She would attach you. This is something more controlled, but it definitely does not seem like she's herself.
Well, I'm going to rely on words and charisma and I guess a little bit of manipulation, and I will address her and I will just say, this is not in service to the Dark Mother. You know this. This is something else. You're losing yourself to this manipulation. You need to throw it off. This person is seeking to disrupt everything that you fought for and that you've suffered for. The presence that's here is not the Dark Mother. This is something else. This is dangerous.
You
need
hear
to resist and stop.
Narissa start to laugh at you. You think you will reach her now? That's cute. And as Narissa takes a step forward, you hear her footstep, her bare feet hit the floor of the boat. But when that sound hits the air, it's like the whole surface you're standing on is like a bass drum and somebody's just hammering at it. Everything shakes. Everything seems weird and out of place. Your perspective shifts like 4 or 5 different times in terms of like things not looking quite right or how they should. Like reality itself is rejecting what you are expecting to see and trying to put something else in its place. The windows on the boat, as they reverberate, you'll catch glimpses of the stars in them, but it's not the stars in the sky. It's some weird, baleful, glowing, like green orbs of light. The boat itself seems to creak and almost liquefy as it's shaking back and forth under Nerissa's feet. Something has decided that the world's wrong in this area, and your mind cannot make sense of it. She takes 2 more steps towards you, and Trina rises completely to her feet, and she just smiles and looks up at Nerissa with this almost worshipful glance, like she's completely in awe and enamored with this woman. And when she looks at you, she speaks, but her voice isn't her own. It's like there's 3 or 4 others layered on top of it. She's like, Preston, you just need to come home. Just come home.
You need to trust me, Trina. We have a history. We've known each other for too long. You know I wouldn't steer you wrong. I'm the only one here and within my right mind. I'm gonna try and entrance her. That's all I got.
No, hey.
I'm not gonna try and stake anybody. That's for sure.
Well, that's your folly, not mine. Hey, I didn't know how it was going to go. It's the first time I ever tried to stake anybody in V5. What was
So it's your charisma plus presence, charisma plus presence versus her composure plus wits.
You can do it. We got dice, dude. We got dice.
She will be using 3.
Oh, how many do we got?
You guys
4.
have 4.
Oh shit.
Use them all, man. I don't want you to die.
I will
Sure you don't
use.
want to stake her?
I will use 2 of them.
Okay.
Did you get 2 10s?
Oh, she only got 2. She only got 1. Oh, that's a willpower.
So you got 6, Sean? Technically, with the 2 10s?
You got 2 10s?
I did get 2
Yes, you
10s.
did.
Yeah.
2 10s
Oh, yeah.
adds
Holy shit.
an extra,
Well,
you
so
got
take
6.
2 away, so you have 3. So each 10 counts as 2. So you have 7. She can't match that. So let me mark off you guys' 2 dice. You entrance her, and it feels weird. You reach out your charisma. You've done this several times before on the most weird of opponents, even werewolves. And when it settles in on them and they seem to kind of take you more as a friend. What's funny is when you let loose your power of your charisma on Trina, there's no effect. Like it hits her and you feel that same semblance of like, okay, now she's going to, like, you're confident that you definitely got it. But she's just like, Preston, come home. It's the best thing for you. I want you to come home. That's all. I'm not going to hurt you. I just want you to come home.
Yeah, that's the problem. This isn't enlightenment without pain. This is too comforting. That's how I know this is wrong. That's how I know you're wrong.
You see Nerissa, she's like, oh, you want pain? That's not a problem whatsoever. We can definitely make that happen.
Since when did anything involving the Dark Mother involve anything but? What I felt here is a comforting motherly presence. That's not Lilith.
Oh, it's better.
So then I ask the question, what are you really? Because it isn't this cultivar bullshit that's similar to the Bahari. You're full of shit.
She laughs, and you see her just kind of look around, and her eyes settle on the human that's been curled up in fetal position since she looked at him earlier. Preston, these things, and she gestures towards the human, are nothing. They're cattle for us. You've known that since you were Sabbat. You've known that since you were re-embraced. All these things that you understand are true. You're just on the wrong side of history right now. And we just want you to come home.
Re-embraced?
Oh, yeah. It's a simple thing to do, much as the 3 of you have gone through. It's nothing. You now became whole. You came home. We just want you to really come home now. And as you see, she gestures towards the human and he starts shivering again. And all these Akkadian glyphs start to just appear in his flesh like he's being flayed by some unseen hand. And as his blood is kind of seeping onto the white floor of the boat, it starts trailing towards Nerissa. And it hits her foot. And you can see the blood starts replicating those Akkadian script designs on her skin just beneath the robes. There are things in your blood that you need to let loose. Just let go.
Here's the difference between you and me. You obviously are in servitude of something, or allow something to inhabit you and direct your actions. That's not what I'm about. I'm stronger than that. I seek to control and subvert.
Well, then I guess you just have to die. And you see Trina's like, we should bring him back. And Narissa's like, no. He has to go. He'll be ash if he won't be family anymore. And this is where we do initiative. Now, Sean, to be plain, there's almost no way you can win this fight.
Oh, there's no, we shouldn't even roll initiative.
However, well, we don't roll. It's just, it's a weird, like, it's your composure plus resolve, So if you don't mind, we'll just narrate this, if that's cool with you. Now, you do have the get out of death free card. You can cash in. You will not die. You will survive in some manner and get back to the haven, which is perfectly fine. I'm totally legit with that if you want to cash in that card. Because I think Preston just got some really important information that would be pretty awesome to bring back to the fold.
I'll never use one, but I certainly won't judge you for doing it. I'm joking.
I'm not above using one if I need to, damn it.
I thought this would be Sullivan, by the way. I did not think Preston would be. I thought Sullivan was going to get it first.
No, not with those dreams. I'm not going on a fucking Lake Michigan with that lady. Fuck that. Are you high?
I'm too curious.
I'll go out there with her, with Portia by my side.
All right. Well, we'll just kick it off, and you let me know when we finish what you want to do.
All right.
So essentially, as she strides for you, you know that it's over. Like in terms of like any sort of conversation to be had, it's kind of no longer a thing. You feel the world around you start to collapse in on itself. Something is just changing reality. Like something is reaching through this skin of what we see on the surface of everything and just making it twisted. As she walks towards you, your perceptions swap over. Like you're hearing sound, but you're also tasting it. You're seeing her approach, but you're also tasting the blood on her body as she's approaching. Like your senses are all fucked up. And as she blurs towards you, as she uses Celerity 5 and crosses the distance in like a blink, you feel the blood in your body rebel against the cells around it. And a fountain of blood erupts out of your mouth as she uses Stuff of Vitae on you once she gets in distance. Now, Preston's not a fighter, but he does have presence that he can try to use. And you try to utilize it against her. You try to, like, in some level that it's futile, but you start throwing everything you can at her. You manifest abilities and presence that you never knew you possessed before. Like you try to drag gaze her instead of entrance her. You try to use daunt on her to try to get her to back off and consider things. But something inside of her is brushing aside everything. And the more and more she moves, the more and more you realize the thing in front of you, Narissa, she's just a shell of something else. Something is coming into this reality through her actions, through her body, and interacting with you. Because when she hits you, it doesn't feel like you're getting hit by anything physical. You get struck, sure, but something in your soul reacts and starts causing your body to rebel against itself when she hits you. So as you're getting struck by, her hands, as you're trying to flee and scramble across the boat, your flesh is being warped and twisted around her strikes. Your bones are just wrenching out of their normal configuration and making weird, like, shards of osseous protrusion are just bursting through your skin as she hits you. And as you're scrambling across the deck and going like, do I jump into the water because you saw something moving down there before? You go to dodge to the side as you feel her blur by you. And as you go to hit the side of the boat, you actually sink through the wall of boat and end up in the cabin below decks. You hear her laughter outside, and the very boat itself starts to just creak and expand outwards as it gets ripped apart by her will as she walks down after you. Your blood starts to burn in your veins as she starts chanting in Sumerian. You feel your mind start to break as you start seeing this boat in ways that no mortal can really comprehend. The idea of normal geometry functioning the way it should goes out the window entirely, and you are treated to these weird vistas outside of what you would normally see before you. strange darkness that's pulsating is just waiting beneath the surface of everything. There's this corrupting being that's reaching through her and touching your spirit every time she reaches out towards you with her powers or even physically. And that is what you're seeing more and more as this being, Narissa, strikes at you. It's like something's behind her, something's puppeting her literally on these threads that you're just now starting to be able to see. And it's just like this macabre puppet show, as you can see these bloody shadows reaching out into the depths of the darkness around you that's making her move the way she's moving. And as you start feeling more and more of your blood get vomited out of your body as she hits you, you start seeing scenes of the well at Asher, the sacrifices that are being heaped upon, old sacrifices. The rot of the corpses hits your nose. Then you feel yourself being merged with something that doesn't quite sync with the rest of the world. As she starts bleeding over you, blood starts seeping out of her pores and pouring onto you, and it's like acid to your skin. And it's burning through your body. You can feel it, though, once it hits your veins, spread through you like a disease. And much like you did the first time you guys came down here, you start feeling that viscous black fluid start to move and turn to these weird insects that are crawling through your body. And that's when Preston starts to black out, as you feel that coldness start to seep through your body. And you can feel parts of your form begin to crumble to ash as your blood is eating your body alive. Do you want to use that card?
Well, here's what I'll say. I don't even know if I had this much of a say in it. I am not interested in doing anything or any situation that involves like violating like the core like goals of like the Baali or the Malachim or anything like that. So if it's like V comes and saves me and I owe him a favor, or if it's like some other thing that's going to like violate any of that, like I'm not going to sacrifice my ideals for my life.
Okay.
So if it means that I die, then like I'm totally cool with the death. But otherwise, I'm cool to.
No, V would not come and save you because he's pissed at you. Like, fuck you. You can die. You can die. In terms of V's point of view, he's not going to come whisk you away from danger. Fuck that. Larson's not either. Larson wouldn't get involved with this, but you will come to on the shore, and you will know that like your entire left half of your body has crumbled to ash. It's just going to be a long period of time to grow it back and regenerate it. It's just a bunch of ag that you took, essentially, that you have to slowly heal back. And you'll be able to do so with a little bit of effort and perseverance. But the person you see when your eyes float open, as much as you can hold them open, standing over you is Portia. And she's got this smile on her face. And in her hand, you see she's got, like literally her fingers have gone into the collarbone and the sternum of Trina. And she's holding her like a duffel bag just down towards the ground. So Trina's just kind of arched back with Portia's hand in her chest. You hear her kind of chuckle. She says something in some language you don't speak, and you'll black out. Back at the Haven, Preston's phone has been in the middle of Lake Michigan forever, and then the signal goes dead. About 2 hours have passed before it does that. You guys will hear the doorbell ring. You answer it, and there's this black body bag on the ground and nobody around.
Special delivery. I'll drag the body bag inside.
You drag it in.
I'll do a quick look as I kind of look out just to see if anybody's seen shit. If nobody's out there.
Solvin, you'll see a woman walking away wearing a black trench coat, collar up, dark hair, walking from your house.
I'll just close the door.
Okay.
I'll look at Sullivan.
I guess unzip
Open it up. What's in the bag?
You guys will see Preston is in the bag. His eyes are closed. He looks to be just about in like a torpid state. The left half of his body, like his arm from like, I'd say mid upper arm down, is just gone. His left leg from the knee down is gone. and parts of his ribs are exposed. You see the rest of the flesh and the bone around him has been charred and is burned like to ash. He's got blackened bile all over his lips and streaming from his eyes and nose.
I'm going to try to figure out what the black bile is.
You reach down and touch it. It seems like that same substance that you ran into when you guys were driving by the yacht club. That black, like ichor, like almost like an oily blood.
It's coming out of our eyes.
Yep.
I'll go to the sink and clean my hand off.
I'll begin maneuvering him out of the bag and into his bed, I guess.
When you reach down and pick him up, you get this massive shock to your system. Like you grab him, and it's like the sheer trauma and the weird twists in reality that have occurred to his body backlash through you, and you get this vision of just about everything that occurred on that boat. Actually, literally everything that occurred on that boat. It just gets torrented through your mind like this train of thoughts, just one vision after the other, one sensation after the other. You feel everything he felt.
I'll fall back, grab my head, and probably yell.
Make a frenzy roll for me, please.
Oh, no. Shit.
If you frenzy and kill me, I'm not using the other get out of death. It's going to be permanent, and you're never going to live it down, just so you know.
I got 4 successes, 2 10s, so 5 successes.
You're good. You're good. You needed a 3. So you manage to steel yourself against the pain that just suddenly invades your senses. Your beast is lashed down tightly under your willpower, and you manage to not frenzy, but you do scream, for damn sure.
I'll just quickly back away, and I'm not going to go through the whole story, but I'll begin describing it to Lamont, what happened to him, or what I saw happen to him.
Lamont will listen, and he'll remain, stoic as he listens to the story. And when it's over, Lamont will just shrug. None of us told him to go with.
I'll go to the kitchen or sink area, grab a rag, and I'll walk back and I'll start basically cleaning them up.
Okay. We're going to wrap there for the evening. Well, that was a trip that I'm sure Preston did not have in mind. I know he was curious, and I knew that Sean felt that Preston was probably going to be in danger, but he wanted to do it anyways, and things went really off the rails for him. Eventually getting saved by, of all people, Helena. We'll see how that unfolds for them in the future. Again, see you all next episode.